Now, an Aberdeenshire mum who's been given evidence to the latest stage of the Scottish COVID inquiry has told Drive Time she's grieving for the life that she and her daughter had before they were struck down with long COVID. Both Helen Goss and her 11-year-old are practically housebound. The youngster has missed more than 4 years of school and spends most of the time sleeping. The inquiry is now asking children and young people to share their experiences of the pandemic, looking at the impact on education. They'll give evidence through surveys to gather experiences from teachers, childcare professionals and children aged 8 and older. Well, Helen has been working with that inquiry team. I caught up with her at her home in West Hill a bit earlier.
First of all, these children exist. They are living with long COVID and have largely been forgotten by society. You don't see them because they're at home, they're in their beds, they're not out and about, they're not in school, they're not doing their hobbies, they're not seeing their friends. And people have forgotten that they're even here. That's just really tragic, honestly, because we know that with reinfection, any child could end up just like my daughter, and it's extremely worrying to me that maybe parents are maybe not aware that their children could become chronically ill with their next COVID infection. With the education part, it's really important that the Scottish COVID inquiry are aware that we know that there is a difficulty and a horrible lack of resources in ASN support learning, and the children with long COVID have only added to that pressure. We have found it extremely difficult to get education at home for my daughter. However, we're lucky that now she's transitioned into the academy, we're getting quite good support from them now, so that is reassuring. But not all children are getting that support from their schools. There just simply aren't the resources to support them at home.
Helen, you and I are wearing masks. We're sitting in your living room, but we're sitting apart. We're wearing masks because for you can't take the risk for you or your daughter. COVID hasn't gone away. It has for a lot of people, but for you, it hasn't. For others, it hasn't.
Yeah, that's right. And masks do work, despite what some people might think. It depends on the type of mask. You want a good mask, an FFP2 or an FFP3 grade mask, and that will protect you and others. We've also got a HEPA filter behind you, and the windows are open behind me. So you can, these mitigations are not difficult. I can't afford to take the risk because we were reinfected in December, and she has become markedly worse. She's having to see a private cardiologist now, and she's on some pretty strong medication, and obviously she's still only 11, so it hurts me to have to give her such a lot of medication so young, but she needs it.
And she's sleeping at the moment. I first met you 4 years ago, and your daughter was so debilitated at that point. How is she now?
I remember when you came round that first time and she was up. I think she even tried to say a few words to you. She was in the sitting room. Now she's asleep in her bed, and she can't really come downstairs a lot. We've actually had to have rails installed so that she can get down the stairs. We're having to get her bathroom adapted for her accessibility needs. It's really expensive. The disability tax is very real, I've come to learn. She's miserable. She's really miserable, Fiona. She's bored. She's by herself. She's in her room. She really has nothing. And I'm really pleased that NHS Grampian have now referred her to a psychiatrist, because I think that's going to really help her. Dealing with a chronic illness is not easy, and she's so isolated. I just hope that they can give her some support. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was out climbing trees, riding my bike. I was, living my best life. She doesn't have any of that. She used to. She was perfectly healthy before the pandemic, and now she is stuck in her four walls, honestly. We actually had to move house because she couldn't handle hearing the kids going to and from school twice a day, and it was just so upsetting for her that she wasn't able to take part in life, and she could hear them having fun and chatting to each other outside of her window, and she can't do any of that, and it's just so sad.
What's that like as a mum?
Oh, do you know, it is, I've literally think I've grieved for our life previously. I genuinely think I've been through some kind of grieving process and still ongoing. I wish so hard that things were different. I wish so hard that she could have had the childhood like I had, but she just weren't. And I'm so busy. Her care needs are so high that I'm so busy. I don't have time to really think deeply about what she's missing out on. And I guess in a way that's kind of good, because then I can't dwell on it. But, sometimes in the dead of night when you're trying to sleep and you think about it, it breaks my heart.
What ultimately would you like out of this inquiry? And you're working with them just now to try and get across your story and your daughter's story. What would you like to see happen because of this?
I really want the Scottish Government to change their policies. The education policies are not inclusive of children with long COVID. I need them to actually really recognise that these children are still in existence and more will come. How many more children are going to end up like my daughter and all the other kids that we support in Long COVID Kids Charity? It hurts to think about, but they will come.
That was Aberdeenshire mum Helen talking to me a bit earlier. She's been giving evidence to the Scottish COVID inquiry. We will return to this story after 5 o'clock.